All right, what is going on, Pats Nation? It's Patriots Global here, back with another video. I got something really special for you guys. You guys didn't know this video was coming. At least you shouldn't have known this video was coming. You guys wanted this last year. You wanted it the year before. Unfortunately, your boy wasn't able to get to it. But this year, your boy's getting to it. So as we are just around the bend, probably by the time this comes out, a little bit more than 24 hours until the start of the 2021 NFL draft, I thought that I would bring you, not just Pats fans, but fans of all 32 NFL teams, the Patriots Global 2021 first round mock draft. So this one's not really going to be with trades, but there is, I'm just going to say it now, there is going to be one trade between the Broncos, or not the Broncos, but the Patriots and the Panthers, just because I ultimately feel that the Patriots are going to trade up for a quarterback. And obviously I'm a Patriots fan. This is a Patriots channel. So we're kind of just going to navigate with that trade as if it is what it is. Maybe we won't make the trade and we'll just, have the Patriots get Justin Fields, and we'll talk about it as we go on. I'm not exactly sure if I'll do that or not, but I want this to be a very realistic mock draft. But we're going to try to just not do it a full hassle of making trades with all these picks. I don't know if my video with Broshmo did come out. Yes, your boy is doing a video with my guy Broshmo. So you might have already heard some of my thoughts if you saw that video, but if you didn't, then you'll hear some new thoughts. Either way, you'll hear new thoughts. But also, of course, before we get into this one, if you guys are interested, make sure you check out my Patreon. Patreon, you can get a bunch of other benefits, including Patreon-only videos. So basically, that's not on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram. These videos will be nowhere else, especially with the draft coming up. If you want to check my last mock draft that hasn't been shown anywhere else, Patreon is the best way to do that. Of course, I'm going to be giving a lot more videos once the draft is done that, of course, are going to be exclusive to here on Patreon. Access to Discord with other Patriots fans and I. The only way that you can get access to that Discord is by being a member of Patreon, and then Patreon member-only live stream. So if that suits your fancy, link in the description below. Make sure to check that out. But you guys already know what this is. It's Patriots Global. Let's get this running before we hop into today's video. So let's just hop into this one. So I got my PFF mock draft simulator. You guys know that I just love using this because I have a membership with them. It's essentially the only reason. I also like that they grade it. But let's just hop right into this one. The first pick is a very tough one. Very tough one. We can go in so many directions here. Now, more than a generational pick in Trevor Lawrence. You go, Trevor Lawrence. This next one is pretty easy. Zach Wilson. I don't think this is a smoke screen. There's no reason for a smoke screen. It's Zach Wilson. Number 3 is an interesting one. Mac Jones or Trey Lance. I know that Kyle Shanahan really wants Mac Jones. I know that everybody else wants Trey Lance. But from what I'm understanding, they're going to go with Kyle Shanahan. They're going to let him do what he ultimately wants to do. So ultimately, I think then with that pick, who they're going to go with is Mac Jones, who is really I would say, smarter and healthier version of a Jimmy Garoppolo. So Mac Jones goes to the 49ers, although I don't agree with him going as high. If that's your guy, that's your guy. And then the Falcons come up here. As a Patriots fan, I absolutely love the idea of adding, let me put my face on the screen for this so you guys can see some of my reactions here. No, let's not do that. Let's do this. I love the idea of Kyle Pitts to the Falcons. And that's from a Patriots fan's perspective. I would love to see this. I think that would be so much fun. And again, I'm not even a fan of the Falcons, but I mean, potentially Julio Jones if he stays on the team, Ridley, Matt Ryan, Kyle Pitts. I mean, that would be fun to watch. I've heard some people saying maybe Jamar Chase or something. I don't know. I mean, I know they traded for Hayden Hurst. I don't think things worked out necessarily as well as they were hoping. I just think Kyle Pitts brings them everything that they want, even as a wide, like if they want help at wide receiver, Kyle Pitts can give you that. He can play anywhere and everywhere on the offense. So, I mean, why not? You could use some help at tight end anyway. And you still have two really good wide receivers as of right now. Get Kyle Pitts. I mean, they're already a great offense, one of the best in the league, always top 3 in passing yards. And man, Kyle Pitts is arguably going to make you one of the most dynamic offenses, maybe the most dynamic offense in the NFL. All right. Now we have the Bengals. So this one is a tough one for the Bengals. And when I was talking to Broshmo, this was a tough one. And we kind of were going back and forth on, which way this was going to go. And I'm still at the same point here. If they go Sewell or they go Jamar Chase, it's a brilliant move. You can't get mad at them for it. They need help on the offensive line significantly. PFF has it that their number one need is wide receiver, but I would say that tackle probably is that number one need. Sewell is a generational talent, but at the same time, they do need pass catchers. AJ Green did leave, and he's now a part of the Cardinals. And who was it? Joe Burrow. I don't know why my mind escaped that for a second. But Joe Burrow has a lot of experience with Jamar Chase, and having a guy who you had a really good connection with in college, then come into the NFL and help translate that chemistry that you had in college into the NFL it's a beautiful thing. And it's so important to have. And if they can get that here, I think that'd be really, really good for Joe Burrow and just a Cincinnati Bengals offense to get going. I think it'd be really good for Jamar Chase too, for him to get started off quick in the NFL. So I just really like the addition of Jamar Chase. This is a really good receiver class, but it's also a good tackle class. They could go either way and get guys, good guys later in this draft. Of course, no one else is like Sewell, but at the same time, you can't, what's the word? You can't make up the connection of a Jamar Chase and a Joe Burrow. You can't. They already have it. So I'm going to go with Jamar Chase here. I think it's a great way to help out their offense right away. And it's a done deal. So the Miami Dolphins here at 6. I really believe that if Kyle Pitts was here, they would love to go here. And I've heard Dolphins fans really want Kyle Pitts to be here. There's a chance he could. Hoping he's not. Crossing my fingers he's not. But there is a chance. But in this mock draft, he's not here. So I think the best option for them, tackle is a pretty big need for the Dolphins, especially offensive line. You go Sewell. And I think that this helps them out tremendously. You're keeping Tua safe. One of the best ways to help him succeed is to give him weapons, of course, but of course to also keep him safe. You guys will hear me say it many times. If you've been around the channel, you would already know, which, hey, subscribe if you haven't already. We're going to be going live on draft day, so join the party, my friends. We're going to have a whole post about it. It's for you guys, time, date, everything. Going to be making a little post for you guys. That's off the point, though, but if you want him to succeed, like I say, an engine to a car. The offensive line is like an engine to a car. You want to succeed. You want your running game to succeed. It all starts with that offensive line. Penei Sewell is a generational talent. And even as a Patriots fan, to have to go up against Sewell twice a year, it's not going to be fun. But I think it's a really good selection for them. So then you get here to the Lions. And they're sitting at a really interesting point. I've heard some people say they could go quarterback. I don't believe they will. I believe that they really do want to see if things can not get fixed, but can work out well with Jared Goff. They included him in that package. They wanted him included in that package for a reason. They could go a lot of different ways here. I like Micah Parsons for them. Really because I mean, essentially, because, you look at their needs here. It's wide receiver. It's defensive, the interior of the defense, the edge, and linebacker. Michael Parsons, I think, just helps fit a lot of what they need on the defense. He's someone who I think could help you get pressure on the quarterback. He's someone who has some experience setting the edge, so he could help you there. But he also helps fill that role of a need at a linebacker. So I think he just helps in like a multitude of different ways. And like I said, I just think receiver you can get in other places. You can get a receiver, a nice receiver, especially when they're pretty high in the draft too. They can get a good receiver in rounds 2, 3, 4, and even 5. So I like Micah Parsons there. I think that you want help to make Jared Goff succeed. Put a good running game behind him, which I think you have already with Swift. But also importantly, rely on that defense. Get the defense to give your offense more opportunities, and you're starting to do that with some help from Micah Parsons. So, like I said prior, I think this pick is going to be a trade. And I'm not going to do trades here with all these other teams. But as a Patriots fan, obviously, I do my due diligence. This is my work. I do the Patriots. I can't necessarily say for a living, but somewhat for a living. Hopefully for a living one day. So want to help me out? Hit that like button, share with your friends, and subscribe. But I really think that this could be a trade here. I can't speak for all the other teams, which is why I'm not going to do trades here in this draft. But I can say from a Patriots perspective that this has been the talk over the last few days. And I think that if they do trade up, they're really just trying to beat out the Broncos here, essentially. So I think 8 is a spot to watch. So I would love to trade that then with the Patriots. So we are going to go with New England. This is going to be the only trade. I want to make that straight. The only trade of this draft. So obviously Patriots would get 8. They would get 15. And then I'm hearing that the Patriots would give up probably like a second, potentially more, but we'll see if they'll just accept the second. I mean, it should be fine. I'm hearing like maybe a late round pick too, though, like a second and a fourth. So you know what? Let's just throw a fourth in there because we're trying to make this realistic. And I'm hearing that they're potentially going to have to throw in that. So let's throw in pick 122 for the Patriots. And I mean, it obviously goes through. So if you're the Patriots, again, you're trading up, you're getting your quarterback of the future. Justin Fields has been heavily linked back to them and essentially why they're trying to trade up. My number one quarterback for them. If it wasn't for Trevor Lawrence, we would have been talking about Justin Fields being the first overall quarterback for a while. I think Zach Wilson probably would have stepped in front at some point. But I mean, Trevor Lawrence is the more than generational quarterback. So obviously that talk wasn't ever had or was ever going to be had. But the Patriots get Justin Fields, and the NFL's worst nightmare is back before anyone would have ever expected. People thought the Patriots were going to be a terrible team for so many years. And Belichick said, yeah, I'm still the head coach. That's not going to happen. So he steps in. The Patriots make a trade up to number 8, and they select my boy Justin Fields. This puts the Broncos at a tough position where they go, what do we want to do? And it's tough only because Trey Lance is still sitting in their lap. Trey Lance is still wait, is Trey? I believe we would still have Trey Lance here, right? Yeah, let's look at the board real quick. Yeah, because we have one quarterback now at this point. And yeah, I mean, I think essentially that's. I mean, Trey Lance falls in their arms. I mean, I wouldn't say Trey Lance is a. Where is he? Oh, he's right there. I wouldn't say Trey Lance is a day one starter. I think he needs to develop. And if the Broncos are smart, they won't throw him in day one. Maybe let him sit behind a year. maybe 2 with Locke. I know that they don't love Locke, but maybe, you can get more out of Locke and maybe you'll not end up even needing Trey Lance. You can use him as trade bait, but obviously they're not happy with what their position is at quarterback. I mean, I think Trey Lance has high potential. He has a high ceiling, but he's not NFL ready. He's a big, big question mark with a lot of question marks. But the Broncos have really tried to dip at quarterback to find that future. They don't feel like it's Locke. Obviously, the other guys are off the board here. So Trey Lance just falls into their arms without them having to trade up. And they get Trey Lance. Congrats to you guys. If it works out, it works. And if it doesn't, well, then you're picking between Drew Lock and Trey Lance. So the Cowboys are now on the board. And we have not gone a defensive route yet. Oh, well, Micah Parsons, we went defensive route. But other than that, we have not gone a defensive route. And I really, really, really like the idea of a true corner for the Cowboys. I feel like I'm always hearing corner and safety when it comes to the Cowboys, and they never really jump on it. They've made some good offseason moves in free agency, but Patrick Surtain is here somehow at number 10, a true number 1 cornerback out of Alabama who is going to be such a good corner, a true number 1 shutdown corner for them. He's sitting in their lap. I think they would have loved to either get, him or Horn, and they get the decision out of all of them, and they go with Patrick Surtain. Really, really good move for them, and they were a team whose defense has just not been up to par, especially I would say that secondary. So they definitely get some help there. I know that edge is listed just right before, but I think, they really are looking to get some corner help, and just the value they're getting from Surtain there at 10, not having to trade up or anything is just, it's tremendous. So we're sitting at tackle here with the Giants, or we're sitting at 11 here with the Giants, and I'm thinking tackle, but I know they also love wide receiver, which makes it tough. Because I know they really, really like Devonta Smith. They really like Devonta Smith. And he's been heavily, heavily linked back to the Giants. But they really, really, really need tackle help. So that makes this very, very tough, just from the sense of, well, do I go from the reports I've been hearing, or do I go based off of what I think they need? I'm going to go based off of what I've been hearing, and I'm going to select Devonta Smith. Now, that's tough because you do have Rashawn Slater still on the board, but hear me out. You can get good tackles in the second round, in the third round, and they're only sitting at 11th. They're not mid. They're not even, they're not in the 20s. They're not in the 30s. They're not far back. So they can get very good tackles, high quality guys still in the second, still in the third. So I think they would still be fine, and they can even double dip if they want to. But to get Devonta Smith, a guy who you really want, although you went out and you got Kenny Golladay, although you still have Sterling Shepard, it does not hurt you to go out and, just to continue to get more help. Solidify your offense. Get Danny Dimes his weapons to make sure that he, you do everything you can to help your quarterback succeed. One of those big things, of course, is to keep him, safe. But at the same time, if you keep him safe, but you don't have anyone to throw to, it doesn't matter all that much, especially because you did just get rid of Golden Tate. That's one guy out the door. Sterling Shepard does deal with a good amount of injuries. You're getting Devonta Smith, a young guy who you have developed now and for the future, and you have Kenny Golladay. You're really giving Danny Dimes some weapons, and in the later rounds, you can also get him some protection. Whew. All right, so moving on to 12 here with the Eagles. They have a lot of possibilities. Quarterback's listed as number 1. I don't know if I necessarily agree with that. It just depends on how they view their quarterback situation. This is an interesting one. I really, really would like to add, I would say, a wide receiver, though. The question is, which route do I want to go? So I haven't heard too much linked back to the Eagles. I think they could definitely use some help on defense, but their offense is just pretty horrendous. And I think if you want your quarterback to succeed, you want to give him as much weapons as you can. I wouldn't say their offensive line is depleted just yet. It is getting older and has some question marks maybe for the future, but I think right now you want to build more so for weapons. And wide receiver has been an issue for them over the last few years. I think that Jalen Waddle would be a really good fit for them because you're getting a guy who's going to be someone who can really help stretch the field for you. And their quarterback, who's for some reason name I am just totally blanking on. Give me 1 second. I don't know why I'm blanking for you guys. Jalen Hurts. I don't know why I keep forgetting that because he was someone I wanted the Patriots to draft last year, which, hey, if they get Justin Fields, I'm totally fine with them not having drafted Jalen Hurts. But you have Jalen Hurts, who is a guy who doesn't really do too well with kind of short to intermediate. I mean, he's not bad intermediate, but when it comes to more so short passing area, he's not too great. Down the field, when it comes to those down the field throws, he's great. Comeback routes, not too great. And Waddle's a guy who really stretches the field, a fast receiver who's going to get down the field quick. If you want explosive plays, well, I think Waddle is going to be your guy. He's someone who you're going to have to compensate for, which could potentially help these other guys get open. I know some people might not love adding Waddle, but you need help at wide receiver, and getting a speedster. I mean, speed kills in the NFL no matter what position. So we're going to go Jalen Waddle and two receivers go back to back. So if you're the Chargers, you are lucky because Rashawn Slater is somehow still on the board here at 13. And I love the idea of going Rashawn Slater here. Second best tackle in this class. And you need tackle. You need offensive line help if you're the Chargers. If you're a Chargers fan, I don't think you can deny that you need that O-line help. Get Herbert that protection. You have pretty decent weapons. Again, you are a team that could go out in these later rounds and can afford to pick up, some talent in the later rounds because right now you do have some guys who can get it done. Is it the best? No, but you definitely have guys who can get it done. Again, give Herbert more time to go through his progressions, to not have all that pressure up in his face, and he's going to perform even better than he has, which is tough to imagine, but it's still possible. So Rashawn Slater goes here, and a tremendous upgrade and tremendous help for their offensive line. So the Vikings are up here on the board. They also need just a ton of help. And I'm thinking Christian Darrisaw. See who else is here. So I'm thinking Christian Darrisaw just because their offensive line it's pretty beat up. It's pretty tough. And you can see here, tackle and guard are two needs for the Vikings. So that offensive line in general just needs help. And I'm going to say it again. The offensive line is like an engine to a car. This offense for the Vikings is not going to get anywhere, and it's not going to look pretty until you give Kirk Cousins some more time. Kirk Cousins is the type of quarterback you don't want him under pressure because he's going to make bad decisions. Give him time to get through his progressions. Give him more time to let these receivers get open, and I think it's going to help out their offensive line. People just don't give enough credit to offensive linemen. They can truly help open up an offense. So we're going to go and tackle Christian Darrisaw out of Virginia Tech. I really, really am a big fan of Christian Darrisaw, and I like this pick for them. So then the Panthers are sitting here, and you kind of wish if you're a Panthers fan that maybe a tackle would have been on the board for you, an offensive lineman. But I like the idea of going a defensive route here. Your offensive line isn't terrible. It's not the worst. You have some decent weapons. It's better weapons than Sam Darnold has had with the Jets. We'll say that. And again, you can get value elsewhere. So I'm thinking we go corner here. And from what I'm hearing, the Panthers are in love with J.C. Horn. J.C. Horn is supposedly the Panthers guy. And he is still sitting here at that trade for 15 that they made with New England a few picks ago at 15. J.C. Horn is still there. They need a cornerback, especially number one guy. And J.C. Horn is their guy. Man-to-man coverage, great press man-to-man coverage guy. Fits that scheme, I think, well for them. And J.C. Horn goes at 15 to the Panthers. I think it's a really good fit. And the Cardinals are just wishing they could have gotten J.C. Horn. But that didn't work out for them. So I don't love Christian Barmore here, but they do need help on the interior of that defensive line. This is just a terrible interior defensive line class. I thought about Greg Newsome. And for me, it's between Greg Newsome and Barmore. From what I've seen, though, Barmore is a bigger potential need for them because I think that interior of that defensive line and just kind of the defensive line. Well, I would say more so the interior of that defensive line needs help. You got J.J. Watt on your edge, but that just interior, you're going to need some help alongside of him. You don't want to put all that pressure on him. He can take it for sure, but just imagine what J.J. Watt could do if you get him some actual help on the interior of that D line. And they have him ranked at 12, and his average draft projection when people were kind of doing these mock drafts was at around 20. So maybe you're selecting him a little bit before others would. I don't necessarily love him at 16, but you're not taking him, at, top 10 or anything like that. And the defensive line class is terrible. Big drop off after Christian Barmore. I just don't think you're really going to get a guy after Barmore to help you on the interior of the defensive line, but I think you can still get good corners in the second round. So I think you're just trying to play value here, and I'm going to give him Christian Barmore. And then you go the Raiders. And the Raiders are another team that need a lot of help. And there's so many routes you could go. There's so many routes that you could go if you are the Raiders. And I think you could go so many different routes, and I won't tell you you're wrong. Like, if you went Greg Newsome right here, I wouldn't tell you that you're wrong. If you went tackle, guard, I wouldn't tell you that you're wrong. You went safety, I wouldn't tell you that you're wrong. Secondary and offensive line is some of the biggest needs for this team, but they got rid of so many offensive linemen this offseason. I think 3 starters, I believe they got rid of. You have to go offensive line. You have to go offensive line here. I mean, Greg Newsome there, of course, it's such an intriguing piece. But after what you did this offseason, you got so much worse on offense. Elijah Vera Tucker is just sitting here for them at 17. He can play guard. He can play tackle. 2 of their top needs. Elijah Vera Tucker goes to the Raiders. So Miami is back on the board. I believe is this their last pick in the first? Please tell me it's their last pick in the first. I believe it is. Yeah, so it's their last pick in the first. We already got a tackle for them. So let's look at the defense here. Little bit tough. So I'm thinking between Kwity Paye and Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. But Edge is a bigger need for them than linebacker is, although I think Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah is a little bit higher on draft boards than Kwity Paye. Kwity Paye is a true set the edge guy, a true set the edge defender, get to your quarterback, apply pressure type of defender coming out of Michigan too, a good competition college. They need that help on their defensive line. They really, really do, especially after you lose Kyle Van Noy, who was a big part in applying pressure for their defense this past year. I'm going to go Kwity Paye here for them. I like that move for them. So then the Washington football team comes up here at 19, and I'm going to go defense here. They obviously didn't get one of the top quarterbacks. Just didn't happen, of course. I wouldn't expect one of the top 5 guys to probably fall to 19. I'd be pretty surprised. But they did add receivers. They have a receiver listed as a need, but they did add Curtis Samuel in free agency, and they added the former Titans wide receiver, who I talked about with Brochmo earlier. Now it's escaping me. Who is it? Why am I escaping so much in this draft? Want to make sure I get you guys everything. So Adam Humphries, that was it. So look at, you have Andre Carter, you have Terry McLaurin, Adam Humphries, and Curtis Samuel. Receiver's not a top need in the first round. You already have very good wide receivers who are going to get that job done for you. Let's go defense. They got rid of Ryan Kerrigan. Well, they didn't get rid of him. He's still a free agent, but he's probably not going to re-sign back with the team. And he is a big, big, big defensive player. He applies really good pressure. Maybe he wasn't as big of a piece for them last year. I feel like each year he's kind of digressed, especially for the Washington football team. But it's still nonetheless a fair loss for them. They have a very good defense, and a defense that each year just gets better, and it's a rising defense that the Washington football team has. Linebacker, I would say, is definitely a need for them, one of the top needs for them. And if you can get Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah here, who I think is definitely the second best linebacker and a generational linebacker out of Notre Dame, I mean, my God, Washington, y'all are getting scary. I mean, you are a playoff contender now. Welcome. So the Bears are on the clock. In a perfect world, they would get a wide receiver. I mean, a quarterback. Wide receiver, obviously, too. It's tough. I want to go receiver here. But you also got Greg Newsome here. Still just knocking at the door. But I don't know. Rashad Bateman is just also here. Like, hey guys, what's up? Still here. And they need wide receiver help. If you want Andy Dalton to succeed in any manner, you got to get him some help. I know that they do still have oh my God, guys. This is what happens when you do a mock draft at 6 a.m. Woo! So what happens when you do it? Get some sleep before you do your mock draft, kids. Let me tell you, it's a lesson to learn from this one. Look at their depth chart real quick. But you have Allen Robinson signed on that first round tender. Will he even be back next year? I don't know. I still hear him around trade rumors. And after him, it's nothing that stands out all that much. So I think that they should go wide receiver here. Greg Newsome is a fantastic potential pick for them. And I wouldn't hate it at all. Don't get me wrong, but Rashad Bateman is just still knocking on the door. And I have to go Rashad Bateman here. So then the Colts come up. Would have loved to give Rashad Bateman to the Colts, but I wasn't able to. It is what it is. But you know what? You do still have Elijah Moore here. It's very intriguing. What do I want to do here? Definitely a tough one because I'm really considering receiver. Let me see. Look at their depth chart also. It's tough to pass on a receiver here because I think if you're Carson Wentz, you need that. I mean, I would say some of their biggest needs would be between tackle and receiver. You know, you have Michael Pittman. I know they re-signed. I believe they re-signed T.Y. Hilton also, but he's getting older. And then I would say some defense, like defensive end, linebacker, corner, and safety are probably some needs for them. I know that corner isn't necessarily listed as one of their biggest needs here. Gregory Newsome, though. I know this isn't an offensive pick, and I don't love that. But Gregory Newsome to help them out at corner. I mean, that's good value. And I just don't know if I want to go Elijah Moore this early. So I'm going to give them Greg Newsome at corner, help solidify that defense, make a trade for Zach Ertz, help you out in helping you gain some receivers. With Broshimo, I think, Bateman going here at 21, and I just loved that fit. But he just went the pick earlier to the Bears, and I just think Elijah Moore's a bit of a push here. So we're just gonna. Yeah. We're going to go Greg Newsome. And I actually wanted to go Greg Newsome here, so it seems like my guys are always just going one pick early. But the Titans do have a plethora of different needs, I feel. And I feel that there's a lot of different ways that the Titans could go here. I feel like secondary is a big one. Tackle, guard. Because I'm also tempted. Nah, you know what? I don't love going guard in the first round. I think you can get like such good value throughout the entire draft at guard. And to go there at 22 is a bit much. It's really intriguing to give him Caleb Farley. And you know what? I think that's actually what I'm going to do. I really was thinking about Elijah Moore. but I still feel maybe it's a tad early. They haven't ranked at 22, but people are having him at the average going at around 40. I could see Elijah Moore going in the first, but I could also see him dropping. Caleb Farley has back concerns, but if that ends up not being a concern for him in his transition to the NFL, he's a ball hawk. He is a true ball hawk. They lost Malcolm Butler. Who else? They also lost one of their safeties too, whose name is escaping me again for some reason. I think they need some secondary help. I know corner is one of their biggest ones. If safety was a bigger need, I would go Moreg here. But I think Caleb Farley is just a ball hawk. He's going to give your offense more opportunities. And, as long as those back injuries aren't a concern, I think he's going to be really good for them. So Caleb Farley at 22. If it wasn't for those back injuries, Caleb Farley would have went so much sooner. So if you are the Jets, where do you go? You got your quarterback, but they really need edge. Like, edge is a big need for them. Although everything is a big need for them. If Farley was here, that would be an easy pick. But I'm going to look at edge here for them. I really like the idea of going edge. They just don't really have a defensive player that stands out. Used to be Jamal Adams in the secondary, but they don't have him anymore. And there's just no one that really scares you and jumps off the board. So we're going to go Jalen Phillips here, I think. We're going to go Jalen Phillips to the Jets. They get their edge help. You got your future quarterback. I like it for him. That defensive line they have is just, at this point, who's even on it? Well, they did make some actually free agency additions, so backtrack that a little bit, but they didn't make enough to solidify that defense. This helps them do that. I won't say it's solidified right now, but it gets closer to it. So the Steelers come along, and this is just, this is a tough one. This is a tough one because it's like, it's the Steelers. You know what I'm saying? I know that they just picked up Minkah Fitzpatrick's fifth-year option, so probably not going to go safety. I've just seen so many running backs go here. How do I want to play this? Quarterback, no one. Tackle, there's Walker Little. Honestly, you're at 24. Your offensive line needs help. I was really considering a running back, but I'm not a huge fan of running backs in the first, unless they're generational. Like, so many great running backs go as undrafted free agent pickups because a lot of teams, a lot of teams are starting to transition into running back by committee. A lot of teams still aren't there yet, and they are still relying on maybe one or two guys. You can get so many quality running backs later on. So I'm going to go Walker Little here for them. I've heard Walker Little being a tackle and a guard. Tackle and guard are some of the biggest needs for the Steelers here. So either way, you're getting a guy, versatility also, but you're getting a guy who's going to help you and plug in day one and just get you that help that you need on that offensive line. All right, so the Jags are back here on the board with 25. And I think this is where we take a safety in Trevon Moehrig. Honestly, pretty good value. They had him ranked at 16th for PFF, but in the draft, people had an average of him going at about 22.9. And let's see. And most people actually have him going here too, surprisingly. But they definitely need safety help. They have some pretty good answers at corner, but I would definitely say safety is what they need, and he will definitely help them solidify that. So first safety off the board. So then you get to the Browns, and Christian Barmore would have been the guy to go here, I think. But that doesn't happen. Defense, though. Defense is where the Browns must go here in the first. You look at their needs here, interior defensive line, edge linebacker. I mean, just the middle of the field and that defensive line are just knocking needs for these guys. Who do I want to go with here? Do I want to go with Azeez Ojulari? Or do I want to go with Jason Oweh? So it looks like Browns fans have also agreed with Oweh going here. It looks like Oweh isn't going too far off. They have him ranked higher, but for ADP, they have him going not too far off of where Azeez Ojulari is, but they do have Oweh going first, so I am going to give them Oweh here. They did add Clowney, I believe, but you don't know what you're getting out of Clowney at this point. Solidify that defensive line and get a guy next to yeah, you guys know who I'm thinking of. It's escaping me. I don't do mock drafts at 6 a.m. Lesson learned. So we're sitting here 27 with the Ravens, one of two picks that they will have in the first. And this is Elijah Moore. They need a receiver, but they need a receiver who is going to help them in the middle of the field or the outside. You can really make an argument for both. But someone who's going to be a 50-50 ball catcher, strong arms, long body, can high point the ball. Elijah Moore is going to do that for you. Not just a guy who is going to be a speedster and try to burn you. I think, they kind of have that Hollywood Brown and whatnot. They have those shifty guys in James Prochet, who they picked up last year, right? So I just don't think they have that strong guy who can, 50-50 balls, high point the ball. And when you have Lamar Jackson as your quarterback, I think Elijah Moore is a good fit. So then we have the Saints, and I really, really like the idea of adding a linebacker here for them. Let's see who's on the list. Let me just go to linebacker. Actually, it's probably easier. They just had a hard time within that middle of the field of the defense. Is linebacker like all the way down? And I think I already know who I'm going to go with. I just want to see exactly who's on the board. Yo, hold up. Why can't I? Is it just me, or is like linebacker not there? Okay, so don't know what that was about, but I honestly think I already know who I'm going to go with here for them. At linebacker. And make sure I'm not missing anyone. And I like Zaven Collins. I like Zaven Collins for them at Tulsa. 28. I've heard a lot about him going in the first round. Obviously, Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah and Michael Parsons are off the board. Zaven Collins, I think, is a really good fit. Potential all three down linebacker or an every down linebacker. Help him get pressure on the quarterback. That long body could really help them in coverage also in the middle of the field. Linebacker help, I feel like they've tried to get help there, and just every single time they try, it's just an L. It's just an L for them. They need help at linebacker. They do need help at cornerback, especially for the future. So you could go here also at linebacker or cornerback. But I think linebacker is a higher need, and just the value of talent that you're getting here is probably better to go here with Zaven Collins. So another team that I really, really, really think could use some linebacker help. They could use some receiver help, and they also could use some corner. I don't know about going Terrace Marshall, though. Definitely a tough decision here on what I want to do with Green Bay. I feel like they're just another team that, dang, they need some linebacker help. I know they want to move up in this draft to potentially select a receiver. They have him going later. They have him ranked at 28th, and then people kind of select him there at 33. So it's not far off at all. Like, he will not be there by their next pick. And they really need a guy next to Devonta Adams. Coming out of LSU, it's a really good college for them. And I just think, look, if you're going to try to win a Super Bowl with Aaron Rodgers, just give him more weapons and he'll get that job done. Terrace Marshall is a good receiver who is like fringe first round. And looks like a lot of Green Bay fans also have him going. A guy who can play in the slot. He racked up 23 touchdowns on 94 catches over the last 2 seasons, and he's not even 21 years old. He's a guy that could really develop. I mean, Terrace Marshall in the slot, Devonta Adams on the outside. I mean, I think that helps that offense tremendously, becoming one of the best in the league. So we're going to go Terrace Marshall here. So the Bills are up here. Edge is a big need for them. And I think Bills fans might love me here, as I go Azeez Ojulari for them. They tried to pick one up in the second round last year, an edge defender, and it just didn't necessarily go the way they were hoping. Azeez Ojulari comes off the board, and I like this pick for them. So the Ravens are back here on the board. I believe we went wide receiver for them last time. Yeah, we went Elijah Moore. They're another team who needs edge. So many teams needing edge. Might be Gregory Rousseau at this point. Although Carlos Bashman's there also, but Gregory Rousseau. I mean, at 31, you're not too far off. So they need edge help. It's really between Carlos Bashman and Gregory Rousseau, but I think Gregory Rousseau is probably the pick here for them. And then obviously the Tampa Bay Bucks. What do we want to do with them? Possibly safety. I don't know why quarterback is listed as such a need for them. You could go like edge here and get the JPP replacement for the future. Maybe I'll go Carlos Bashman here. But let me see who's at safety. Elijah Molden. Honestly, I would say get that JPP replacement and go with Bashman. I think Bashman's probably the better value here also. Just curiosity, what teams had him going the most? Yeah, so most people had him going in probably the second. But I've seen him go in the first before. Me and Broshi had him going in the first in our mock draft. Carlos Basham here, you're getting your JPP replacement, but you're just solidifying that help on the defensive line. I think that he could possibly even play some snaps in the interior of the defensive line also, which is one of the biggest needs for them is the interior D-line, but there's just no one here you take on the D-line. In the interior of the D-line at like DT, but at edge defender, I think Carlos Basham is a great fit. And for your JPP replacement, you get him now and you get him good. And that's our draft, my friends. That is our draft, our 6:30 in the morning draft as we 55 minutes. Wow, I am sorry. So let's see what PFF thought. They gave us an A+ for Trevor Lawrence, A+ for Zach Wilson, A+ for Mac Jones, an A for Kyle Pitts, an A for Jamar Chase, A for Penei Sewell. They didn't really love that Micah Parsons there at 7. But I think Micah Parsons does fit a lot of the needs for defense for them. I really do. You have help at corner already. Why not go linebacker? They added some help at receiver already in free agency. Why not go linebacker? Justin Fields, an A+ for the Patriots, A+ for Trey Lance, can argue. B- for Patrick Surtain and the Giants, or not the Giants, but the Cowboys. Highly disagree with that. Devonta Smith goes to the Giants. I liked that. Jalen Waddle going for the Eagles. Liked that also. Rashawn Slater, a perfect fit for the Chargers. Christian Darrisaw, an A. They gave us a B+ for the trade. So they seem to like that. Thank you, PFF. They never like my trades. J.C. Horn gave them an A. I think that's a good fit. Christian Barmore, an A+ for them. The interior of the D-line, I think that's a good fit also. A- for Elijah Vera Tucker. Don't really agree with that necessarily. Well, I think it's more like an A, but I'm open to some constructive criticism. Kwity Paye, an edge defender for the Dolphins. Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, an A for the Washington football team. A- for Rashad Bateman for the Bears. B+ for Greg Newsome for the Colts. A for Caleb Farley to the Titans. B+ for Jalen Phillips, the edge defender to the Jets. B+ for Walker Little to the Steelers. A+ for Trayvon Moehrig, the safety to the Jags. The Jags just nailed the first round. Jason Owain, A-. Elijah Moore, an A. Zaven Collins, an A-. An A- for Terrence Marshall to the Green Bay Packers. Azeez Ojulari, an A- to the Bills. A- for Gregory Rousseau. Wow, and a B+ for Carlos Basham. I don't know if I agree with that. So, I mean, your grades are pretty... I mean, it was only one round, so it's literally just the same grade. But that's the mock draft, guys. That is my 32 NFL teams first round mock draft. We're doing this at 6:30 in the morning. Give me a little bit of a leeway on this one when it comes to kind of spacing out on some of the names. The boy's quite obviously tired, but I'm popping this out for you because your boy got work today, a day before the draft, so I know that I'm not going to be able to get this video out later. I appreciate all of you for watching, no matter what team you're from. What are your guys' thoughts on this list? I know some people are going to have different opinions, but keep in mind some of these picks don't just count for right now, but you also have to account for the future, next year, the year after that. Those are very, very, very big priorities that teams do look into. So don't just look at now. Also look out for the future, my friends. But what are your guys' thoughts on it? Let me know in the comment section below. Share with your friends. And remember to join the party, our live party for the 2021 draft here on the Patriots Global channel. I appreciate you guys for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.